welcome to the Journey Chez Chem. Well, please do this complete redox reaction to the best of your ability, and we'll discuss it in a moment. In number 1, we are balancing a redox reaction in an acidic solution by the half reaction method. Therefore, the first thing we must do is get the oxidation numbers of each of the elements. Well, oxygen is -2. There are 3 of them. That gives me a -6 on the oxygen. The whole polyatomic ion has a -1 charge, and therefore iodine is +5. And the oxygen is -2. Sulfur here is in the negative position, and therefore it follows its periodic position, which is -2, and hydrogen is +1. Iodine here, as a molecule, is 0. Then we have sulfite. Well, oxygen is -2. There are 3 of them. That gives me a -6. The whole polyatomic ion is -2, and therefore sulfur, in this case, is +4. Then we have to figure out what was oxidized and what was reduced. Well, the iodine went from +5 to 0, and therefore it gained 5 electrons. It was reduced. Sulfur went from -2 to +4, and therefore it lost 6 electrons and was oxidized. You remember my abbreviations for reduced and oxidized. Now I'm going to separate them to their half reactions. Well, the iodate went to iodine. Very important to pay attention. I have 2 atoms of iodine here, and therefore I needed 2 as a coefficient. Well, as soon as I put 2 as a coefficient, I need 6 waters. And when I need 6 waters, I'm going to need 12 hydrogen ions. And I must also balance the charge. Well, there are 2 atoms of iodine, and when we do the brackets, it is only for a single atom. And therefore, I gain not just 5 electrons, but 10 electrons. And because I remember that losers are on the right, or that losers are produced, I know the gainers have to go on the left. Then I have H2S that goes to sulfite. Well, there's only 1 atom here. I don't need to worry about that. And then I lost 6 electrons. And losers are on the right. Losers are produced. Now I need 3 waters. And I have 6 and 2 gives me a total of 8 hydrogen ions. Now, before I can add them back together, I have to have the same number of electrons gained as there are lost. And the lowest common multiple between 10 and 6 is 30. And therefore, the first one I must multiply by 3, and the second one by 5. And I'll write them again. It's very helpful to go ahead and write it out so it's nice and clear, and you're not marking off a lot of things, because we're going to mark off some things as we go. Well, we have 30 electrons and 36 hydrogen ions and 6 iodates. And we get 3 iodines and 18 waters for the first half reaction. Then I have 15 waters and 5 hydrosulfuric acids. I get 5 sulfites, 30 electrons, and 40 hydrogen ions. Now, before I add them together, I'm going to subtract a variety of things. Things on the opposite sides of the equation I subtract, things on the same side I add. Well, the electrons must completely cancel. And then these 15 waters cancel and leaves me 3. 36 hydrogen ions cancel, and it leaves me with 4. Then I bring down everything and get the final total reaction. And I have 5 H2S plus 6 iodates. And that gives me 5 sulfites, 3 iodines, 3 waters and 4 hydrogen ions. And that is the lowest ratio, and therefore that is my final answer for number 1. And I'll be right back. In number 2, we are asked a variety of questions, and we do not have to balance the equation in order to answer these questions. And this is the format that you were given on the worksheet, and therefore I'm using the same format so you get used to it. Well, the OA is the oxidizing agent, and the oxidizing agent contains the element reduced, and that's why these two are next to each other. Well, the element that's reduced is iodine. And you could put I2, that would be fine, either one. Therefore, the oxidizing agent is the whole compound of iodate. The reducing agent contains the element oxidized. And the element oxidized was sulfur, and therefore the reducing agent is the hydrosulfuric acid. The O1/2 is the oxidized half reaction. And what are the total number of electrons that are lost in the oxidation half? Well, the oxidation half lost 6 electrons. The reduction half, there were 2 atoms, and therefore we gained not just 5, but 10 electrons. And then the total number that are transferred in the complete reaction was 30 electrons. And that's how we do number 2. Now, the only other thing that we need to discuss is that you have a quiz coming up in a couple of days, and the quiz is only on half reactions in acidic solution and oxidation numbers, and I would suggest that you review the worksheet A for that. And then also, tonight's assignment, you have the next 8 redox reactions to complete, and you will also need to identify all of these various things on that worksheet. I know you can do it. You've learned a lot by now, and we're getting really good at these half reactions and doing complete reactions. Well, I wish you all the best, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Bye.